Here's 7 facts that we know about Way of the Hunter that are going to make this game very interesting. With these 7 facts, I'm going to be listing them from what I believe is kind of least interesting to most interesting factors in my opinion. So let's get started. Number 7, branded gear. Clearly, when you're seeing some of the behind the scenes with the dev team and them showing certain elements, you can see that they have Steyr in there, that they have Bushnell, and they've already officially said that they are partnering with Remington and Vista Outdoors, which is a parent company to many different hunting brands. What's also interesting is when you start to see what some of the fans are saying in the Discord currently of Way of the Hunter. One person in particular looks like they might have found that Vortex is also going to be possibly in this. Regardless, there's going to be branded product in this actual game, which I think is kind of a nice touch. Number 6, need zones. As we know from Call of the Wild, oftentimes these zones are for bedding, feeding, water, and various elements that we have timing that we know that this animal is going to be there. Well, it's very different for the Way of the Hunter. To quote one of the developers, there are multiple zones that are not 100% reliable in the sense of at X time, animal Y will be there. There are multiple mechanics that make how these need zones work less predictable. To me, this is a great element. This makes it a lot closer to real hunting. Sure, you might know where certain deer like to bed, but it's not a guarantee, especially if there's other people that are stomping around, creating noise, or just the wind's not right that day for you to try to hunt that spot. I think this is a great element, and I think it's going to make the game more dynamic. Number 5, the unique universal scoring system that they've decided to use for scoring animals in this game. I'll show a clip right here of a creative director talking about this.
A big part of hunting games and hunting communities as well. We are no different. We hold them in great care, and that's why we created complex trophy system. Most of the trophies in the game are real-world scans, which we received from Slovak hunting organizations. One of the challenges we encountered at the beginning was which system to choose, whether to choose the American bone and croquet system or the European CIC. Basically what we decided was to go in some sort of a mix, which would result in a universal system.
To me, I think this is the best system that you could possibly have for a universal system. It allows a system that takes from the American side as well as the European side. We have Europe being hunted in Transylvania, and then we also have Northwest, which is also being hunted. So this makes a lot of sense to have one universal scoring system that will work for both areas. Number 4, the size of the maps and locations. So we know that in Europe, it's going to be in Transylvania, and we know that in the US, it's going to be in the Northwest. What's very interesting about both these maps is that each map is 55 square miles. To give you a sense of how big that map is, well, let's look at Red Dead 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 was roughly around 21 square miles. So these maps, each map is going to be double that, meaning that in total, we're going to have 110 square miles of landscape to cover and hunt. That is a huge map. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Number 3, you can sell the meat for money and profit in this game, which is kind of interesting, but that's not what I find so fascinating and why this is so high up on the list. What's so interesting to me about this is the fact that you can get orders essentially from local restaurants, meaning that now you have an objective to get that certain type of meat. And that means that it makes it more valuable, and that can also elevate certain wild game meat that you're seeking out in the game. In terms of the quality of the meat, I'm sure that's going to come down to shot placement, but I do wonder if age will come into factor, meaning if you shoot a really old buck compared to more of a prime age buck, will that change the quality of the meat, and will you get a better price? I think that's a very unique element. Number 2 is the dynamic factors when it comes to the physical characteristics of the animals, especially racks and trophies. It's a very interesting system, so I'll allow the creative director to explain it.
Well, how we created a trophy for red deer. It is one of the most prominent animal in the game. Antlers of red deer consist of parameters such as length of the main beam, typical points, crown, circumference, and greatest spread. All the above mentioned parameters change dynamically in the game and are based on fitness and age of the animal. There is also a bit more to the antlers of red deer, and it's the color palette and also the chipped white tips, and both of them are randomly generated. If we then go to the detail, we have 8 models of antlers for red deer, and each of those 8 models have 3 variations. Also, all of the 3 variations have minimum and maximal sizes. Once they are combined together, we create a whole palette of red deer animals.
So what I think all this variety really boils down to is that you have the opportunity to find something truly unique and special with each trophy. Number 1, the genetics matter in this game, meaning the age as well as the fitness of the animal will decide how that animal scores in their trophy system. And what's very cool about this is that you get to control that. As they talked about in their complex trophy system, obviously you want to have some kind of balance. But as the developer said, if you truly want a hunting haven, you want to target and cull bucks that are not favorable or that are not going to be genetically viable to get you the end result of those trophy deer that you want. To me, this is a complete game changer. This makes this game so different than anything that's ever been created before. And it makes it the most realistic version of what you can actually accomplish on a chunk of land that you own or have in terms of private property. I love the fact that you get to control the genetics of a certain animal based off of your hunting style. This also means that you're gonna want to think before you shoot. Obviously, you want to have the biggest and best bucks that you can on your property. You want to have the most mature animals that have the best ratings, but you can only achieve that if you allow the genetics to play a part of it. Therefore, you're going to think twice every time you think about pulling that trigger. This makes this game so much more dynamic and so much more unique. All right, so there you have it. 7 facts about this game that I think are going to make it really unique and very fun to play. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We will be live on the day this game comes out on August 16th, so make sure that you can stop by the stream if you want to check it out. With that said, as always, shoot straight and knock something down.